And good morning. It is 20 minutes after 7 o'clock, and joining us in studio this morning, CEO of Lovelace Regional Hospital here in Roswell, Buddy Daniels back with us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mike. It's good to have you. Thank you.
Great to have you.
Thank
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you.
Yeah.
I hope your holidays were well.
You as well. Hopefully you got to spend some of them with family, at least. I know in your line of work, generally the holidays probably get a little busier for things at the hospital, even without COVID and everything going on. So.
Business picked up. There's no doubt about it. COVID, it just impacted it twice as much.
Absolutely.
But we did. We had time to carve off and spend some time with family.
Good.
And the children, and it was a good Christmas. It was a good Thanksgiving, good Christmas, good New Year's.
Ready to tackle 2022.
Well, ready or not, it's on us.
It's happening here. Well, speaking of time and milestones here, really, first thing one of the real reasons why you're coming on to talk to us today is Lovelace is marking their 100th anniversary here. Yeah. Is that is a whole operation entity, Lovelace, across the board?
It is. It
Okay.
is. So we have 4 other hospitals up in Albuquerque.
Okay.
And most of them are segmented. So there's Lovelace Medical Center, which is downtown. That's the big house.
Gotcha.
They take everything except for women's operations, because then we have Lovelace Women's.
Okay.
Just up the road from them. We have Lovelace West Side, who is more broad in terms of a general hospital.
Okay.
And then we have Lovelace Rehab. So, in the heart hospital is actually attached to LMC,
Gotcha.
which is the big downtown one.
Okay.
So they do most heart operations right there.
Gotcha.
Then there's us. So we're outside of the statistical area of Albuquerque by quite a bit.
Sure.
so we are very proud in terms of a general hospital. And William R. Lovelace is actually the provider that brought Lovelace services and healthcare to New Mexico.
Was he a physician or a?
He was a physician.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So 100 years ago, this year, he brought health services over to New Mexico.
Okay.
He's our namesake for our corporation. So we, of course, as Lovelace Health System, we have it all branded at our hospital. So when you show up off the light poles, we had the 100th anniversary. We got wraps on our elevators. So if you come by, we're really pushing the 100th anniversary in honor of Dr. William R. Lovelace.
Now, I got to imagine there's got to be a few seasoned staff members that are taking a lot of jokes, like every once in a while saying, hey, weren't you here the first thing? I'm sure there's a couple jokes that have been going around, at the various Lovelace facilities here. And somebody's like, that guy's been here 100. Oh, wasn't he part of the original team 100 years ago?
And I think if we count it, we have 3 employees when the hospital actually became Lovelace, when it was Roswell Regional. And then when Lovelace came in and purchased the hospital back in 2012,
Gotcha.
We still have 3 employees that made that conversion working at the hospital.
So
we do.
Yeah. But in all fairness, too, we joke about that, but that speaks volumes for how you how Lovelace as an entity treats the people and the staff and everything. If you've got people that are spending entire careers there, then that usually bodes well as saying, hey, they must do well by their people, things, because especially in healthcare, you don't like where you're at, you go somewhere else because you're in demand every single place. So to have someone in your field just basically say, I want to make my career here with Lovelace, that really does speak volumes for how staff are treated, how the environment is there.
Mm-hmm. And the honor's all ours.
Yeah.
These folks have stuck with us thick and thin. They've seen changes, many changes.
Sure, and especially over the last couple of years here. Yeah, I mean, if you have the ability to retire right now,
most are
probably saying, I don't need this. I'm retiring. Where's my umbrella and my drink with the fancy fruit in it?
Yeah. And then you want to talk about the mandates.
Yeah.
You go into what's required today may not be required tomorrow, may not be required next week. And there's been different looks all along the way. That sort of change is not embraced all that well.
Sure.
We're inevitable to have change.
Right.
Healthcare is going to grow. Healthcare is going to change just in terms of what best practices are, what the best treatments are for a certain disease. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about unprecedented, trying to figure something out, manage a population into what you want.
Sure.
And keep politics aside,
exactly.
Which I think is next to impossible.
But in this day and age, absolutely.
But at the same time, it's all that change. You're exactly right. To go back to your point, people are walking away from the industry.
Yeah.
And to keep as many employees as we possibly can doing exactly what they do best.
Sure.
It's our honor.
Absolutely. So just since we're kind of talking about this, just philosophically a little bit. I mean, as the CEO here, how do you envision this impacting your role in the future as far as maintaining and keeping qualified staff there? I mean, like you said, where it's a constantly fluid changing, but at some point we're going to be getting out of this
We
stuff.
have to be reaching herd immunity. You know, you hear that all the time. Herd immunity. Once you have it, you can't get it again. There's going to be variants from here on out.
Sure.
So at some point, I would think, just philosophically, we have to reach that tipping point where it starts to go away.
Sure. But I would even say that the big picture will be, well, is this going to damper people wanting to go into the medical field after they see, you know, I've just been seeing stories the last 3 years, these people working, you know, 24-hour shifts, and then all this. You know, do I want to go into that? So I imagine there's going to be a bigger, I'm thinking, problem in the future where we're going to have to sell folks onto saying, hey, pursuing careers in medical field's a good thing. You know? And
hey, can I offer a different rendition?
Sure.
All right. So yes, you're exactly right. There will be those folks that just get fed up and, and you know, hey, that's too much change for me. I think I want to walk away. But also at the same time, our industry has taken another, it's morphed into something different, which is we've had to really take a look at pay scales and everything to work through this pandemic to be sure that our workforce is there.
Gotcha.
And that we're still attracting people in. So I think an ultimate change, and this one worries me, is once you give this to work through a pandemic, how do you carve it back?
Gotcha.
To find a market that's back to
not overinflated or
exactly. How do you stem all of that?
Sure.
Now, granted, that's the real worry, and I don't have an answer for you. I wish I did, but I don't.
Well, good news, if you want to put it this way, is you're not alone, because I'm guessing not just the healthcare industry, but law enforcement, education, all these kind of frontline where they're in the forefront during this pandemic. All of those fields are going to have to really reassess how things are done that way.
Yeah,
so.
Especially some of the remote ancillary services that always have been essential to hospitals' function, but where we haven't had a lot of competition in. So I'll give you two examples. One is EVS, environmental services, housekeeping. Not typically have a lot of competition for these folks.
Yeah.
But through the pandemic, now you got hotels and everyone else having to adjust their scales in order to find people and keep them employed. Now we have new competitors that we didn't have last year.
Yeah, you're right. That, you know, you don't think about that, but you're absolutely right. It's if everyone needs food services, then guess what? It's supply and demand, just like anything else. As demand's higher than supply, prices go up. That's true with commodities. That's true with people.
Yeah, your workforce is the main function behind it.
Yeah,
and given hospitals have always been this way, and they'll continue to be this way. But consolidated into that building is a lot of intellectual property. Yeah, you never are you going to find more physicians in one spot at the same time.
Sure.
Never are you going to find more RNs and these highly trained in radiology techs, lab techs, all confined into one space. So to have a draw of that outside of that hospital building or facility as it stands, it's really hard to get it back. And I wish I had an answer for you.
Figure out how to put the genie back in the bottle.
This is part of the change that we're all trying to figure out.
Sure, absolutely, too. Well, and I could speak, you know, we were talking about the ancillary food services, that this is something we talked about every single time we talk about Lovelace is, you know, go eat at the hospital because they have the most amazing food. Yeah, and that's like, what? You know, no one says that, but that's absolutely true. So hopefully that, you know, you got to keep that battle up because, like you said, there's a lot of restaurants saying, hey, I'll throw you a lot of money to come run my kitchen.
Yeah, and let's throw another sidebar over. Yeah. So part of these mandates that we've suffered over the past 2 years, I mean, can you believe it? 2 years.
I know.
In March, it's 2 years. So one of the things that we suffered over the last 2 years is within the mandates, you have to limit the traffic that comes in and out of your facility so that you limit the exposure.
Sure.
We all understand that.
Absolutely.
Well, it's decimated the food service.
That's their income
within the hospital. Yeah. We have, you're right, to your point, we have great food for a very reasonable price. I mean, rarely can you get a really good lunch for $4.
Which, by the way, is a draw for your staff because
it's huge.
You know, you've seen the schedule of medical personnel. Taking a lunch is what?
Almost unheard of now.
So for the ability to walk up the hall to get a tasty burrito or sandwich or something, that's that's a selling point for a person to say, you know what, I want to make Lovelace my employment, my home there. So that really does create a bigger ripple in the big ocean than people think about
Yeah.
that stuff.
And one of the things, just a simple layout of our building, it was built to draw people in. You could tell we have a huge lobby.
Sure.
We have a huge waiting area. And all of that stuff was built in mind that we wanted to attract people to come in. Because if you come in, you feel more at home.
Sure.
You'll choose us for your service.
Absolutely.
Well,
So this goes against everything
it
you
goes
guys,
against everything that we're
your
trying to
business
do.
model. Yeah, exactly. It's like, hey, so hopefully you're thinking we're ready to start. Hopefully soon we can start inviting people back
I'm
in.
keeping my fingers crossed.
Even
once
just
we could get this Omicron patted down, I think we'll.
Well, even the impact of the outreach programs and things that yourself and Eastern New Mexico Medical Center, these are things you even partner with those on some things, but I there's been such a void in that these last 2 years because you just physically can't do it, and there is so much that doesn't slip through the cracks because those are happening. Programs for seniors and things like that. All that is not happening and hasn't happened for the last 2 years because of COVID. And there is a need for that. And I'm afraid there's, at a point where we're getting to be a generation of people that are going to be missing out on things because they don't have access to some of the resources that are normally in a normal world are available to them at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, and can't disagree with you whatsoever.
Yeah.
So at one point it was even defined that a group greater than 5 people, if your meeting is going to last greater than 15 minutes, you couldn't have it in person.
Yeah.
And granted, you have other means of holding the meeting. So you could go to WebEx, you could go to any of these Zoom meetings, just through telecom. You could do all of that stuff. But it's
to a point.
It still removes the fact that if you're not together, you're not talking about things that are affecting your life. And when you're not bringing together different people, like say our board of trustees, who are all community members, and they come in, or your medical exec staff, these are your independent physicians that come in for these meetings, and we're not talking about these issues, and we're not looking at someone saying, how did this affect you personally, so that we could help manage the population.
Absolutely,
you're right. We're missing out on all of that you still don't get on the telephone because your telephone is only going to go according to the agenda.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it makes it very difficult.
But then say even for your senior programs and things, and some will take advantage of that, but for the most part, seniors aren't willing to, and I understand it, aren't willing to go learn a whole new technology thing just to do a Zoom meeting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they're just going to miss out altogether because they're like, that's not worth my time. So that's a variable that, and you kind of mentioned too, it's Zoom and these over the internet communications are very convenient and have fixed a lot of problems.
They work, yes.
However, there's a lot that slips through the cracks because of that, because like you're saying, something about just being in the room and seeing all facets of what's going on. You miss. Even I would even say, teledoc and these things are amazing tools and can help triage patients, levels of sickness and things. Some things like, oh yeah, we can clean up real easy, but the doctor's using all his senses to kind of diagnose. And so if you're in the room with them and he's seeing how you're feeling or smell or something that you're doing, that's going to give your doctor indicators of what's going on there too. And so you miss that side of it a little bit. And
there's only so much of the human side that you could carve off and still achieve what you want.
Yeah,
you're right. It does work. Telemedicine works. It's going to continue to grow even after this is over.
And they're great ideas, and we definitely need to throw more money and invest into that.
Absolutely.
However, you've got to still have that in a room patient-doctor conversation and exam and the things where they got to touch you. They gotta do things that
for
are
your personal health. You'd probably feel better. Knowing that the doctor actually listened to the back of your chest. And they didn't just play something on you and it was over telemed. There's your personal health is a human thing. I mean, so it takes human interaction for it.
So they're still going to have to be, even whatever happens in the next phase or 50 phases of COVID here. But and I know you're the business side of things, but I'm kind of just curious what you're hearing from your medical on this. A lot of people are saying out there with this Omicron variant that in actuality this could be a good thing. Like if you're looking and studying the trends and everything,
Mhm.
this could be an indicator of the beginning of the end for the COVID pandemic. Like we're starting to see the variations kind of fizzle out a little bit here.
Uh-huh.
Are your medical guys kind of, are they leaning in that way, or are they?
Yes, they are. Yeah,
Okay.
yes, they are. All right, so I bring it up. You're right. I'm,
Yeah.
I'm from the business side. So when we go to these meetings, I have what I hear from the news, and I have what I'm seeing from and hearing from our employees, or what
Sure.
I'm reading in some sort of media. All of that
Yeah.
is all I could bring to the
Well,
table.
and that's just saying there's
But-
so much of that out there. You're like, what's real and what's just people talking?
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, you got doctors. So what are they saying?
So they are saying the same exact thing. When COVID first came out, yes, you're right. They're saying it's a real thing. It was very deadly.
Yeah.
But if the virus continues to kill the host, then the virus dies itself. Because if you kill your host, you can't continue to live either.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So
Right.
it had to weaken itself in order to remain alive in itself. I mean, it's amazing that you don't want to keep something alive like that.
Sure.
It's an awful virus,
But that's what viruses do. They're
what they have
clinging
to
for
do.
life too. It's
So when you get these various variants like what's coming out right now with Omicron, and we're not hearing that Omicron's hospitalizing people, it is. I've heard that it is a good sign.
Yeah.
It means that this thing has weakened itself to the point that it could spread. But then once you get it,
its impact is minimal. It's gonna, like you said, give you a head cold for a couple days or
Yep.
something like that. Well,
it's
so
not going to debilitate you.
Yeah.
and that's what we want.
and so I'm guessing at some point as these different versions mutate and stuff, we will start seeing the hospital numbers go down and things. And like you said too, the thing that I've heard a lot of people say on this one is it's short. Like it's just a couple days and people are fine again here. So yeah, even though we're, you turn on the news every night and all they're doom and glooming everybody and hospitals overcrowded and all of that kind of stuff. I think we're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel here.
Yeah.
So
And above all, we could get back to normal operation.
yeah.
That's where people start coming back in for what they've known they've had, like CHF,
Gotcha.
congestive heart failure. That's a serious one that we do still feel that patients have not sought care because they're worried about the virus and
Gotcha.
catching the virus. So as the virus dies down, we're looking forward to getting back to normal operations where we could get these people that need help, that have put it off or refused it because they're scared of the virus. Those operations need to come back, and that'll be our next focus.
Very good. I do want to just kind of ask this real quick since we were just talking about, the news and everybody's talking about hospital overcrowding, big cities, things like that. As far as what happened here at Lovelace in Roswell, was there any of those kind of issues at all during this pandemic where there's been any of that kind of stuff where we're running out of this and that and we got to, I'm not saying turn people away, but we're was there any of that overusing of the resources to a point where we're seeing like some of the stuff that was on TV in bigger cities?
Not really. Okay.
Okay.
So to say that I was overwhelmed at any given point, we have not been.
Oh, gotcha.
All right. So you mix in different factors, and then it does stress the system a little bit more. So just to go down two lines here for you. One of which, when we're testing and there's head colds, and it ends up being positive because don't forget we're doing nasal swabs, so you're going to find it if it's there. It is sensitive enough; it will detect it.
You gotta love gook up your nose where it'll find it.
Exactly. So someone comes into work and they're sounding bad, but yet they're saying that they're not feeling bad. Either way, that's enough to pull them out of service, at least for a test.
Sure.
All right. So you pop positive, and then you have to go out on a quarantine period. Quarantine period's been adjusted many times.
Now it's down to 5. I think, but
exactly. So either way, now your workforce is out. So have we had stress in terms of that? Absolutely.
Gotcha.
When too many people are out, it stresses the others to pick it up somehow,
Gotcha.
or the hospital to have to consider
Sure.
limiting, which we don't want to do because
Right.
we want to be there for everyone. But hey, if you don't have the workforce, you don't have the workforce.
Sure.
You got to keep who currently is sick and in your hospital safe.
Gotcha.
All right. So that stress we have had.
Absolutely.
Have
Okay.
we been overwhelmed with a number of hospitalizations all having to do with COVID at the same time? No.
Gotcha.
That answer.
So it's not like you running out of respirators and things like that.
that we have
The
not.
only stress is just like every other business dealing with stress is we got a lot of people calling in sick because they're sick. We don't, the manpower or people are working a little longer or having to do double duty to get things done. Here, so.
And to meet the need that's there that day.
Yeah.
Because it does change.
Yeah.
There's been some.
And that's true in any
heavy ebbs
career or
and flows.
business. That's just what it is. So, but that's good news to see that we, our area is able to handle everything, or it didn't get to the horror shows you're seeing on TV and the news and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
And then the second thing that stressed us is we have had some very good treatments like monoclonal antibodies. That infusion, it works. You come in, and we got a really good process at our hospital. We're very proud of it. You come in and you're symptomatic. We don't let you leave. We don't try to. We do all of that stuff to take care of that right now. So
It's like, hey, you're here. Let's get the process started.
let's get this IV infusion in you, because from your first onset of symptoms, there is a time frame that you have to hit that it's the most effective, and we don't want to miss that. So hey, if we have you there, it's best that we do it all at one time.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, over the course of this ebb and flow as well, the monoclonal antibodies have become not available, less available. What's the best word for that? Rationed.
Yeah.
Rationed at some point, to where we haven't been able to get what the need is, does not match what we have.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we have had those stresses as well.
Sure.
In terms of like overall just hospitalizations, using the respirators, using up our ICU resources, we have not locally had that issue.
But supply and demand, like anything else, like we're having trouble getting COVID tests just like everybody else is. But
and the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
So 5 people come in, they're sick. Hey, they're eligible. They meet the criteria. We would love to do monoclonal antibodies, and guess what? We have 2.
Yeah.
So it's going through who gets what and at what time, and can we skill schedule and hit that time frame to where it's effective and have the resource there at the time. We have had those stresses.
Yeah. But that, again, that's something that every probably healthcare facility in the world probably are dealing with.
Absolutely.
Right now.
We're not any different than anyone else on that one.
Absolutely. But as far as because I know like you're hearing back east, they're restricting elective stuff on some hospitals. Any of that going on here at Lovelace right now?
So we're able to run it now. We're able to manage ourselves. So early on in the pandemic, yes, as a fear of
they were doing
up
that.
ICU beds, we did that. Now today, you get to make that decision based upon your resources. So if your workforce, and this is where it goes to the workforce, if you have a lot of people showing up positive for COVID and needing to be on quarantine, you have to evaluate what you can do from those services on a day-to-day basis.
Gotcha.
No, we haven't had any restrictions on it so far.
Good.
And I will knock on some wood about that. We've been very blessed.
Good. So people need their colonoscopies or people need their knee surgeries. It's happening.
Still come in.
Come on in, get her done.
We're doing it for you.
Excellent. Very good. So don't hesitate, Matt. And that's something especially at the beginning of the pandemic, we were telling a lot of people, it's like, please don't use this as an excuse to ignore your other, especially if you've got chronic conditions like diabetes or any of these things here. Well, that's the same case, and ask a person that knee hurts whether a knee surgery is elective or not. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's like, it's a loose term. So take care of your health, whether it's deemed not important like a toe or something more important like a heart. Either way, be on top of it because you take care of all your parts.
Yeah. And not to mix in too much politics back into that.
Yeah.
But take care of yourself.
Yeah.
You're the best person that knows you. So you're right. Much to your hey, if you have a knee pain, you need a knee surgery.
Yeah,
that's an emergency. From
absolutely.
The minute you know that it hurts.
That's your world, and that's top priority.
And if you know you have heart issues, you got to take care of that too.
Yeah.
The other places of your life, going out to eat, going to the grocery store. Hey, keep yourself safe. If you're immunocompromised, you should have a mask on.
Absolutely.
And you should keep a little bit of a distance in there. If you're a healthy individual and you think. But it's that self-agency. You got to make those decisions for yourself.
Absolutely.
And I haven't heard anyone ever get angry at someone for doing the right thing.
Absolutely.
So we got to continue to do the right thing.
Yeah, that's and yeah, because especially when we live in a world where you got 20 people telling you 20 different things depending on their angle of what they're telling you. Now more than ever, you kind of got to do you and make what's best. If you're thinking, you know what, I don't care that everyone's telling me not to wear a mask. I think it's going to help me. I'm putting this mask on.
Put it on.
Do it.
And no one's going to second guess you.
Absolutely.
It's what's best for you.
Absolutely.
You took personal agency throughout all of it.
Absolutely.
Taking personal agency is the best.
And if you know that you have immune compromise, if you're dealing with chronic conditions or usually it's kind of the spectrums, the very young and the very old are kind of falling into those categories. Right. If you're in there, then yes, you need to step up your game and your family needs to help you do that and do some of the extreme things we talk about, limiting exposure and stuff, just because your immune system's that way. But if you're average and regular, doing the simple basic things like you normally would, washing your hands and just being general good hygiene and health, that will
be enough.
That'll protect you.
It will.
Yeah.
It will. Now, hey, if I was older and even before COVID,
Mm-hmm.
say for example, there are individuals, they're just susceptible to certain disease, like pneumonia,
Mm-hmm.
and every single year they seem to get pneumonia. If I was in that case, I would definitely always have a mask on.
Absolutely.
I would make sure I had some gloves. I would do all of that because I knew I was more susceptible to this virus as well, on top of that pneumonia is anything else.
Absolutely here.
But hey, as a healthy individual, you rarely come down with the sickness. I haven't had the flu in 20 years.
Yeah.
You probably don't need to do all that.
Yeah, you probably, exactly here. And obviously with vaccinations and things, I personally, and I know the hospital and everything, recommend get your vaccinations. That, mandating, I've never been a fan of mandating anything, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, look at all the people vaccinated getting COVID and everything else. And yes, that's true.
It's a true statement.
However, I know that, and they're not wrong. The people that have been vaccinated or have their 3 boosters, they literally are getting minor cold. Like I got it back in September or so last year, and I got like 2-3 days. I had like a bad cold. I mean, but that was it. I mean, the rest of it was just I'm here. I'm
100%.
Yeah. So
if you had a different stage in life and you were susceptible to the other things, it might have went the other way.
Yeah.
But,
and at the time, I'd had 2 shots. I've had my 3rd since then. But yeah, and I attribute.
Me too. Was it sore?
Yeah. Well, that was the weird one. My 3rd one was sore the next day for a little bit. The 2nd one, I was fine the next day, but I got sick the day after that. Like
really?
a little fever and chills and things. And then the first one, just a little arm sore.
Yeah.
But,
First shot didn't have any side effects.
Yeah.
My second one, that booster that came, I think it was 3 weeks later.
Yeah.
It threw me for a little bit of loop.
Yeah.
This newest booster, that 3rd one, it knocked me out.
Did it?
Day. Yeah. It
See,
really
I had
did.
my wife. It did, but for me, I got mine the day before Thanksgiving. Weirdly enough, and because I was going on a trip in December, and my windows of times to get shot was like then. Or December 22nd or something. I was like, well, dang, I need the 2 weeks to. So I was like, I need to do it now. So I was like, all right, day before Thanksgiving, here we come.
I'm with you because I'm not moving the trip. I'm doing it.
So fortunately, it was just a little arm sore. It did not inhibit my turkey consumption.
Agreed. Because mine hit almost 24 hours afterwards. I took that 3rd booster right around the 20-hour mark.
Yeah.
I was. Why is all my muscles sore?
Yeah.
Why do I feel like I have a little bit of a chill and everything? And I couldn't go into work the next day. I had to call and simply say, I got the booster yesterday. I think I'm gonna have to take today out.
Yeah. People aren't gonna want to hang out around me today. I'm fine. Why are you shaking?
I'm good.
Why you got cold sweat and shake? I'm fine.
You can try to muscle through it, but it wouldn't be good.
You're like, all right, buddy, I'll see you later.
Exactly. Especially with everyone identifying COVID right now, right?
Yeah,
so they're like, man, you got it.
That's right.
Go home.
Yeah, exactly. And especially, I would imagine, an environment where, germs and they're a little more stringent about it in that place than they are in others around town. So
everyone's got a heightened availability to diagnose it for you.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's a WebMD all of a sudden, right? Well, the good news, we want to, congratulations to Lovelace on celebrating 100 years as an entity here in New Mexico. And I imagine look for stuff throughout the year here online and events. Hopefully, maybe some events planned in the future here, COVID permitting, obviously, here on some of this stuff. But look for more of the big shindig of 100 years of Lovelace here. So,
and from our standpoint, hey, we're never going to stop trying to operate at the top of our game.
Yeah.
So from it, you'll see lots of stuff come out for the year, COVID permitting, of course. And St. Matt, we're not going to go against it, but at the same time, we're going to do as much as we possibly can.
We want to celebrate,
to celebrate this. So if it's allowable, we're going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, if you are looking for a primary care physician, or if you're needing any medical services at all, go check out Lovelace's website. You can learn all about every single healthcare service and staff member that's part of Lovelace, and find the right person to help you and get that taken care of. And then, but if you, I just type in Lovelace Roswell into Google and it comes right up.
It comes right up.
Yeah.
And above all, we got a couple new providers. I know you had Dr. Jewel on your show.
Yeah.
Been in Roswell a long time.
But now part of the Lovelace
Now
family.
part of the Lovelace family. We have a new one coming up here on February 7th as well. Sarah East.
Okay.
She's been a physician assistant in the market for
I
a
was
long,
about
long
to say,
time.
I think, was she coming from down south, like Eddy County area? Or?
No, she's been in Chaves County.
Chaves County? Okay.
Uh-huh.
I know, I think I've interviewed her before.
Yep, but she's coming over.
good.
Part of the Lovelace family as well.
Oh, awesome.
Matter of fact, we're going to put her in the same building with Dr. Jewel. They
Okay.
both know each other.
All right.
Hey, when you have colleagues already, it's a good fit.
It does, and that actually does work well because, as far as their patient communication and, finding commonalities between patients and things, it's a good sounding board and good
Absolutely.
monitoring of overall health for those individuals. So when they're all in this, kind of in the same room or on the same page, like that.
Yeah,
So,
excited to have them. Excited to have them in the same building. That's
Yeah.
even better. But also excited that if you've already went to these providers and you've been in the market, hey, it's just a different location. You could still see your same provider. It's not like we're bringing someone else in and trying to build this service.
Sure.
It's more or less you could see the provider that you've always had.
people you trusted,
Yeah, that
Now
you trusted with your care.
and we're going to put them in our home.
Just a different location.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as coming to eat, can you do that yet? If
No,
you don't have
not
any,
yet,
not yet.
not yet.
Okay, I didn't know if you can just show up and eat without having a cough or something.
It's true.
Should I
can't-
play sick? I'm like, I'm not feeling good. I need to get into the cafeteria.
I can't wait for the day again, once again, that we could kick it off. Because you're right. Our food service, it's wonderful.
It
We
is.
used to have a lot of people come in from the community.
Mhm.
Right now, we're still restricted in terms of that,
Gotcha.
especially with this love
But coming
here.
soon.
But hey, it's coming soon. We'll get
Hey,
it
maybe
back
that'll be
open
part
for
of the 100 thing. We'll have to give him a food truck for a day and just come out in the
Just let
parking
him
lot
do his thing, yeah.
and just start slinging food out to everybody. I think it'd be
It
a
would
great
be good.
idea. So, well, thank you as always. We appreciate it, buddy. And congratulations on another great year with Lovelace here and 100 years of celebrating Lovelace. And
Thank you.
here's to another 100. Obviously, I don't think any of us will be a part of that 200-year celebration, but
Toast with coffee. Toast with coffee.
let's say some real breakthroughs in medical
Let's
science.
get another
here.
100 years.
But thank you, sir. Appreciate
Thank
the
you.
time, and we'll see you again soon.
Sounds good.
Anytime you want on, we'd love to have you come in and just give us the updates or whatever. We'd love to have you.
I love
So,
the conversation. Thank
yeah,
you for having me.
we always have fun.
Always.
If one of those burritos make it this way, that's,
Hey, maybe next time I'll bring it in for you. And
There we go.
There we go.
Tribute is one burrito. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate
Thank you,
it. All right.